Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kilolo Luckett. I'm the founding executive director and chief curator of Alma Lewis. I am joined here today with Amani Lewis. Amani is right now living in Miami. How are you doing? How are you doing,
I
Amani?
am great. The beautiful state of Miami, as I like to call it. It has its own government, its own laws, its own constitution. So yeah, I'm doing great, Kilolo. I'm doing great.
Wonderful to see you, Amani. And it's just a thrill to be virtually with you today. And
Yes.
so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a little bio about you, and then we'll start talking. We'll just jump right in about your show, Amani Lewis, Reimagining Care. All right. So Amani Lewis, you were born in Baltimore, Maryland, 1994. Amani's work aims to shift the dominant and often manipulated and simplified narratives of the Baltimore, Maryland community. Amani showcases the complexities of the community's stories and deepens the subject's perspective of themselves, their power, and their relationship to the city. In 2016, Amani graduated from the Maryland Institute College of Art, which is named MICA, with a BFA in General Fine Arts in illustration. Amani recently completed a residency at Fountainhead in Miami. Also, Amani has exhibited, had a solo exhibition at the August Wilson African American Cultural Center in Pittsburgh here, and at MICA, and you've been in so many other amazing shows, group shows. Most recently, you had a solo show at Salon 94 in New York City this past fall, and you have anointed the Alma Lewis space as the inaugural exhibition artist, and which is today's the last day of Amani Lewis Reimagining Care. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take you all through the gallery, and Amani's going to talk about his work and process and influences, inspirations, and we're just going to have an informal conversation.
Let's do it.
Okay.
That was beautiful, Kilolo. It's like you prepared that or something.
Well, I also should say a little bit about Alma Lewis.
Yes, you should.
Amani Lewis. So I, this past year, launched Alma Lewis, which is an experimental contemporary art platform for critical thinking, dialogue, and artistic expression dedicated to Black culture. It is a space for gallery, for artists to show their work, which Amani has. And we also have an artist residency, which is a 3-month residency. We also have a Black archive. It's a book and publication where people are able to access that as well. And it's just really a great space for the public and also the artists to be welcomed in and to really engage in dialogue, and also have a free Black space. And I always say, whenever you come into Alma Lewis, you are unencumbered and you are free to be yourself and who you are. And so I started this because I wanted a space where we could show work dedicated to Black culture. And that was something that I rarely saw here in Pittsburgh. And so last year I found a space, did a build out, and here we are. I'm right now in my office, but right in front of me is the gallery and the studio and some other wonderful spaces. And also the name Alma Lewis is named after Alma Thomas, who was pioneered in abstraction. She was the first African-American woman to have a solo exhibition at the Whitney Museum in 1972. And Norman Lewis, no relationship. Maybe you all are related, Amani.
We cousins.
Yes,
I don't know what people thought, but me and Norman cousins, man. That's my OG.
But Norman Lewis was the first African-American to win the Carnegie International award in 1955, which is the oldest, it's the second oldest international in the world, and it's here in Pittsburgh at the Carnegie Museum of Art. And so I put those two names together as a way to build this foundation and build upon the legacy that they built to make the work that I do possible, and also the work that Amani's possible. So that's just a little backstory about Alma
Yes.
Lewis. So let's jump right into it, Amani. So I'm going to share my
Okay.
screen.
Let's do
And
it.
we have a wonderful little presentation here to share with people. And let me go big screen. So can you see?
Yeah, I can see it perfectly.
All right, great. Alrighty, so I just gave you a little overview about Alma Lewis, and we are about honoring the past and cultivating the future. People like Amani here. And we also have our inaugural resident artist in the lower left. This is Marvin Toure. And right now we have our second resident artist, Mujani Merriweather, who also is from Baltimore. And Mujani and Amani are very good friends.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, and Mujani's just literally in the other room. All right, so Amani, this is our gallery, and we have here on the left, kind of like the lounge, and we have situated in the lounge is the exhibition overview about your work. And then also there are some wonderful images that I took of you when I did a studio visit last year. And we'll go a little into more detail about that because I have a close-up of that, but just wanted to orient the viewers that this is the lounge when you walk into the space. And so you see the exhibition overview of Amani Lewis Reimagining Care. And then also we have this wall installation, and there's sound, there's audio that goes with it. That Amani last year, was it last year? Was it 2021? I can't, sometimes time is a little different for me because of
Yeah.
COVID. That you went to Baltimore and you interviewed family members, right?
Yep, that was last year.
Yeah, okay. And then we also have books here that are about, we situate the exhibition with some books based on the artists and the curators' inspirations, and you'll see a little close-up of that too. All right, so this is another view of the exhibition, and you can kind of get a sense of the scale of Amani's all new works that you did for the show. And then the lower image is more of a close-up of 3 of the mixed media works on paper. And so let's see the next one. There's a little delay here. A close-up of some of the books and also the wall installation. And so, Amani, these images, do you remember some of these images that I took of you? And I thought it was really interesting for me when I was documenting you for this show, is that you were showing me actual images from a photo album.
Yeah. Wow. I had to put my glasses on for this one. I do. These images are some of my favorite pieces that I've already made too. And to see them hung salon style, like my grandma's house, is kind of crazy because I don't think we do that anymore. I don't think us young folks have pictures in frames. A lot of our pictures are digitally located on our phones. So it's just nice to be reminded of the beauty of the physicality, being able to have a tangible photo of important moments in life.
And Amani, with these photos, because this was like a photo album, you took those pictures out of a photo album and you were sharing them with me, because you were even holding some of them up. And I thought this was really beautiful to see, watch your face light up and talking about some of your family members. And then there are those that you don't really know, but you are really kind of excavating, and you're learning more about these people that you are putting into your works, right? You're activating these still images and bringing them to life through your artwork.
100%. So my grandmother, my great grandmother, she was at her house. I actually went to my grandmother's house just to take photos of my cousin. And it was crazy that this all panned out the way it did, because I wasn't supposed to go there, but we decided to do an off a whim photo shoot. Me and him as children visited my grandmother weekly. So there was like a lot of memories being back on her street, remembering us playing games in the street, going to the playground and like creating these imaginary characters and playing with them and talking about our dreams. At the time it was music, but for me I was still confused about what my dreams were. I just know they were vivid about just images. I just remember having a lot of dreams of images. So that's pretty interesting too. But so I get to my grandma's house and she wasn't even supposed to be there. And she was. So we did our photo shoot. We went inside the house and there she was. And she was in her little, there's like this corridor or something. There's like this small little room in the living room that she was in, and just like her little private office. And I saw her hunched over her desk and I asked her what she was doing. And she just made note that she was looking at this photo album. And so I took the book, started looking at these images, and it's like this one photo album, because she has a bunch of photo albums. I mean, I think it was just the way to have your little disposable camera or your Polaroid, and you gotta take pictures of everything. She had a library of photo albums, but she was looking at this one in particular. And it's all of this one like family reunion party at her house in the early 80s. So in that book too, she has like a mix of, she was younger, like a young woman, her working, her in the 60s and 70s. And then the majority of the book turns into this one party. But this is where I get to see my great-great-grandmother for the first time via images. And she was just missing her mother at that time. She was going through the photo album and telling me like about Miss Mary, that's my great-great-grandmother for reference, and telling me how resilient she was, telling me how hardworking, how strong, and how silent she was too. And you can kind of see that in the images at the time. I think she was like maybe in her 80s. So she's very, I don't want to say old, but she was just kind of like hunched in her chair. And I don't know, is the word stewed? I don't know the word for it, but like very
Was she stoic? Was she very
stoic. Yeah, just very stoic. And everyone around her was like all like vibrant and just lively. And I got to meet my uncles, some cousins. I mean, I say meet, but meet through the images. I got to meet some uncles and cousins and nieces, well, not nieces, but definitely aunties that I have never met before. And I asked her like, so where are they? And then they're predominantly in North Carolina. So she was telling me there's a situation or something that happened that kind of divided parts of the family. So some of us family stayed in the DC, Baltimore area, and the rest of the family went to North Carolina. But long story short, it was a very beautiful moment where me and my great grandmother are bonding, and I'm learning about my own lineage and family histories. And I got to choose some amazing images that moved me at the time. So the photo on the far left is of my mother. I think in the 80s, having those cool little hairdos was popping. She has the whole thing tucked to the side, 1,000 curls.
That was the salt and pepper time frame. I know that. I know that. I know that
The salt
hairstyle.
and pepper.
Yeah,
The salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. Yes.
Yo, there's a few of those photos in there. Because my cousin's a hairdresser. So at the time they were in high school, and there's like a course where you can do hairdressing, and after school, obviously you do hair school. But so that's my cousin Kiki's work. And then the photo directly above her to the upper right is of my cousin. So that's the person I went to go take photos of. And he was like one of my favorite cousins. I looked up to him a lot when we were growing up. And so he's in front of this red car, which becomes a massive painting, and the car turns blue. But his mother used to be the president of the Zeta Phi Betas. So the piece was called Sorority Boy. Um, I can't really see the piece to the like on the bottom, but that piece of me holding the picture up is a
Yes.
pretty important piece because it's my great grandmother centered around all the granddaughters. So in the photo album, you'll see Mary surrounded by either women, men, or children, and and also individual families. And I think what was going on is that a lot of the family members knew that this would be one of their last moments to be with her. And so a lot of the photos and the documenting this moment was kind of this thing where she is essentially saying her goodbyes and putting her spirit into the people that are surrounding her. It's like her physical body may leave, but her spirit will definitely live on within the children and the granddaughters, the grandsons, and just to have those memories of her live in them. So I thought that was pretty important. But yeah, that's the photo of her being surrounded, and also they're surrounding her and giving her that blessing and giving her that love too. Um, I mean, I remember my cousins were telling me that like, yeah, we knew, it was just when you know, you know. And so it was just like this moment, this party was about thanking her, um, giving her that send off, giving her that love, and also receiving her for that last time.
And
And yeah,
and the central figure, you call her Mother Mary?
Mother Mary,
And
Mother Mary.
Mary, and so the image of you in the middle here with the mixed media print is of Mother Mary with some of her family members, right?
Yes, wait, circle it.
This one here, this piece.
Oh, yes, yes, that is her.
Because
That
I
is
put
her.
her in the middle here with this salon style arrangement
Yep, that's
photograph.
her.
And boy, was she very fashionable. She had that true.
Yes, she was. She
Yes.
was rocking it. She was a very fashionable woman.
And as you were, you're a beautiful storyteller, Amani, and listening to you talk about how, people knew that this might be the last time that they are gathering around and with her. And
Yeah.
and you making these new works, and we have a detail of, you talked about this touch, this
Yes.
transfer of
Her
energy,
hands.
the spirit, and how you arrange. Talk to me about, how do you take this image and then create it to be what we see right in, right behind you?
Yeah.
And then the detail as well.
So, I mean, this is a beautiful image. First, it starts with me just kind of living with the photo for a little bit, looking at it. And sometimes I feel like it's me, obviously, but I feel like I put myself into that moment. I feel what was going on in that scene. And I just try to take it in and live with it inside my body before I start working. Um, in this moment, this was a very stunning image of Mother Mary. She's holding the grandson or the great grandson, and her hands, like, you just see there's so much history and story in her hands that she like gently places on the child. And I couldn't stop thinking about her hands. Um, and so I wanted to kind of make this like angelic moment where the faces start to fade, the environments start to fade, and the things that come into focus is like cloth. And in that middle where her hands touch that boy, this like spiritual, excuse me, sorry, this like a spiritual, whimsical fairy dust that is her touch, that protects the young boy, like something that a lot of Black families do. is cover their homes. So there's like that story in the Moses story where Moses warns everyone that your firstborn, you know, you have to put the blood on the doorpost because the angel of death will come through and take your firstborn. And yeah, so we do that. We protect our homes, we protect our families when we cover them, as they say, in the blood of Jesus. And I feel like Mother Mary was doing that. She was essentially putting her own healing touch onto that family to make sure that they were good. And from that point, you know, once I created all that in my head, I just go into the work. I go into, again, desaturating the faces, paying attention to the cloth, reimagining the photo, painting it in, screen printing it, adding glitter, and yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah,
That's how it came out.
these works are stunning, and I love this contrast too, because you have like, okay, we are these melanated people, but
Yeah.
then you create them as almost these spirits that
Yes,
are
100%.
that are embodied in actual flesh, but they are these spirits. And then even the way you use glitter, because I'm like, I've seen people use glitter before, really in a very like
Very.
way. But how you use glitter, Amani, is quite incredible. It really is.
Thank you.
It is as if you know you talk about this effervescence, these spirits. There is this essence that is very much all around. There's this kind of halo effect that you are able to create through all of these different medias that you put on to these works, these screen printed works. It's just stunning. I'm going to go to the next series of images. And also, I thought this was really beautiful for you. The titles, they're almost like their own poems, they're individual poems. Because the previous one, see, the title of this one, can I read it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. The title of this one is They Said She Was the Head, the Foundation Beneath Our Toes, the Song Within Our Hearts. They called her Mary.
They called her Mary.
It's like, you know me, it doesn't take much for me to cry, and I get really, you know, emotional listening, reading. I mean, I'm reading out loud, and I like to read out loud. However, it's these titles of these pieces, they are their own stories and their own poems, and they're just beautiful. They're beautiful. You should capture each title and put them in a compilation.
I should. I definitely will.
Yeah, so Amani, these three works here, because you have 6 in the show.
Yeah.
And this first one here on the left, it's the title of it is We Danced with 1,000 of Our Ancestors. I was too little to know that feeling I felt that day was the spirit that moves through me. And then the one in the middle, Dear Mother, it was in the moment I knew forever wasn't a long time, but the time at which we were and we will be connected. What is that warmth I feel? And then the one on the far right, Nana, can I call you mother? There is no safer feeling than this.
I got deep, huh?
Yes. So this one on the left, well, you can tell us, you know, you can talk a little bit about all of them if you'd like, or if you want to highlight one of them, it's up to you. But yes, go ahead, Amani.
Yeah. Again, Black families, we know this best. When we gather, we dance, and that's cultural, historical, traditional. It just marks the connection we have with our ancestors, both joyous and depressing. So I feel like a little bit, all of that is in that piece. Yeah, Kilolo.
So Amani, when you were thinking about this image, and there's this person in the foreground, and then there are these other people in the background, and you've rendered some of them, I call them like these cotton candy heads. I know some people had asked about, oh, why are some muted while others are more, prominent, more legible?
Yeah. Good question. As I mentioned in the title, it's this reconnecting, it's this tethering to our ancestors. And so essentially I like to think about, when does the physical realm turn into the spiritual realm? And this image documents the in-between, the moment. Like, I don't know if anyone have seen that movie Soul. Have you seen that movie,
Yes.
Kilolo?
Yes.
It's one of my favorite movies. I love, those movies gotta be, I swear it's allergies. I'm not crying, y'all. That movie, it shows like this Black man, he's a school teacher, he's a pianist. And when he plays the piano, there's this moment where everything around him fades away and he enters into the spiritual realm. And I love that Disney did that, because I literally be talking about this stuff all the time. Like, I gotta understand, like, when you're deeply enrooted in your passions and your purpose, there's a moment in that moment that you transcend into a different realm. And in this image, I think something that happens a lot with, at least I'll speak for myself, me and my family members, is that when we gather, it is a joyful moment. I mean, sometimes we'll stress about it, like, oh man, you never know, cousin so-and-so gonna be talking about that problem again, like, before we enter the space, there's like this nervousness and this I don't know, this like joning and whatever else. But then when we actually get into each other's space, it's just like this loud and what's the word? I almost said rumptious, but it's this moment where we just kind of leave. We just leave everything behind, and we just are trapped in a different realm. And that happens a lot when we dance. The young kids are always dancing. In the photo album, you can see all the kids dancing and all the grown-ups circling around them, cheering them on. And so that's what the cotton candy head. I'd go on a tangent. Yeah, that's what the cotton candy heads are. It's like this background begins the spiritual realm. And there's a lot of things I was thinking about, like the foreground, the person in the foreground breaks the border.
Yeah.
Like, she also steps outside of the piece in engagement with us. And I think that was pretty critical for me, because it's not like you are viewing a moment that's happening, it's that you are also a part of this moment, because she breaks into your realm. She breaks into your border. And then there's like this really sharp contrast, dark shadow that is right there.
I love this. Yeah.
Yeah. And that represents for me, that foreground, her being in the physical realm, and then that shadow is like that portal. And then once you get past that shadow, you're into the spiritual realm where everyone's dancing. So that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
4 dimensions.
Wow. And I mean, when I'm standing in front of that image, it's as if I feel like I am being pulled in.
Yeah, exactly.
That person is stepping outside of that frame, almost like pulling me in as well. So there are these beautiful, subtle things that are happening in your work. And I really encourage people, today is the last day of your show. And this one is going to be living with you. So I'm glad that I'll be able to visit it when I see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an important piece.
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to go to, these are little close-ups of some of the work.
Yeah.
Some of this is works in progress too. So people can kind of see some of your process too, of these works. And the middle work is the title. I'm going to read that one. It's, I heard it through a whisper, and just like that, we were one with the wind. And that's your mother, right?
Yeah, that's my mother and my Nana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the one on the right, that's of your mother.
Yep.
You were like in what, high school?
Yeah, she was in high school. That one's a pretty crazy piece. What's the title for this one?
Yes, its title is Even in the Smile Upon Her Face, her fury and pain radiated in the air like 1,000 suns. She wanted people to see her, but all they felt was red.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's intense. We'll talk about that one. And you own this one, correct?
Yeah, you gifted this one to Alma Lewis to start our collection. So
That
thank
one
you.
is of course, that one's probably the most serious piece for me in this body of work. So I'm glad it will be in the safe hold and care of Alma Lewis.
Yes, well, let's talk about this in the few moments that we have left before we can do a little Q&A. But this piece, tell us something about this work, because I have some questions about it. I'm gonna let you go first. I'm gonna let you go first because you are deploying a lot of different techniques here.
Yes, yes, I am. So like Kilolo mentioned, this is of my mother, and she is a prophetess and an author, motivational speaker, a teacher. You know, she does it all. She was, she is a resilient woman. I give her that. So she had a very, I mean, my Nana took great care of her. My Nana and my grandfather both served in the military. My Nana in the Navy, my grandfather in the Air Force. She had a very solid home. But I think in trying to find herself and to find her purpose, somewhere along that road, she got off of it. And it became out of everyone's hands. Like it's a path. When you walk that path, it's a path that you can only get yourself off of. And so during this time, she's been through sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, um, you name it. Her health was deteriorating. Just like going through a lot of the stress that she endured started to attack her body. And so she's even dealing with that right now. But yeah, she was very angry, very angry. She was a beautiful woman, and she's alive. I keep saying was, but in my
Your
reminiscing,
mother's only like what, a year or two younger
yeah,
than you? So
yeah, she's like 45 or something. She's somewhere around there.
yeah.
But she a young woman. But in thinking about her growing up, I remember the rage, and I would see the smile, but you could, like I said, you could feel it. You can just feel that color red coming off of her. It's like this heat, this thing that it doesn't feel warm, it feels hot, and you're scared to connect and touch. Um, but anyway, yeah, so she's been through a lot, and a lot of Black women in our country go through a lot of these things. Around the world, they go through these things, and yet they put this brave face on in support of their families, of men, of life, of just everything, man. It's crazy, the life of a Black woman, the experience of a Black woman. Yeah.
Why did you choose this photo to create of your mother, and also the way in which you rendered this, your mother? It's almost as if
Yeah.
she's this bust and you left kind of the space of where her heart and her chest is very open, and it's almost
Yeah.
white. You have these kind of pastels kind of marking, and you have this outline of her bust essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. So with Negroes in the Trees, which I did with you for the August Wilson show, I did the outline of the character's face, the person's face, in representing this tracing of their just who they are and what makes them themselves. And so obviously in tracing that, you trace lineage, you trace history and all those kind of things. And so in outlining my mother, it was almost like I was on this roller coaster ride, going through some of the things that she has opened up about, especially about her domestic violence. And the bus is because you can see that the border also stops at her bust too, and it becomes just the line I create from her shirt on that bottom part. Um, and I
It's so
just want,
delicate the way you render it.
yeah,
It really is. Mhm.
yeah. It just, I mean, like if you think about Mirjani's work, it's like this. It's not necessarily a statue, but this person represents a lot of people. It's not like this is just my mother. My mother is in this form the face for a lot of women, which is why there's that cutout there. And then you can see like there's this, so you can't actually see the final image, y'all. Just so y'all know, Kilolo got
This
some
is-
crazy shit on her wall. But in that red part, I caked up. Oh my goodness. I don't even know how I was just experimenting, but I caked up the glitter and the pastel and the pigment powder. And it's just like it's this gooey red thing that just like outlines her hair and her face and wraps around. And it kind of breaks into her hair, right, Kilolo?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like this lava.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was thinking about is molten lava. Um, and she's red and she's smiling, and it's just like for me, it's kind of disorienting to see someone smile like that. But there's all this crazy chaos.
She's
Yeah.
like heaving. Yeah, there's all like we talk about this lava. It's almost like this volcano is
Yes.
Erupting around her and almost enveloping her.
Exactly.
And her eyes are this red.
Red. Yeah.
Still her she's showing her teeth and she's almost like gritting through.
Yeah. Exactly.
All these emotions that have been building up inside of her. So I love that piece, and thank you, Amani.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to the next images, which these are just close-ups of what we saw.
Yep. On that wall.
Yeah, and this middle piece, oh, I always call like it. The other name that I have for this middle piece, I call it like Madonna Child.
Yeah, 100%.
I just I love all these works, but this one for this particular reason, I mean, that blue.
Yes.
And then this little bit of pixelation, this glitter, and then with the baby and the mapping of the baby and the baby meeting the viewer's gaze, but also looking beyond the viewer into the future. And she's breathing her, her hopes and dreams into this child.
Yes.
It is such a tender moment that this embracing of this mother and child.
Wow. It is a beautiful piece. I think it was hard when I had to do
You won't name the
this.
museum, but a museum has acquired this piece.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Kilolo. That's amazing.
Yeah, and
That's
then even how
amazing.
you draw that outline, breaking the frame once again.
Me and these frames. Yeah.
Yeah, these subtle things that are happening that if you sit with your work, more things just keep being, revealed.
Yeah, and some things are obviously are conscious and intentional, and some things are just me in the moment exploring. And I think that's kind of beautiful when you can start off with this idea, and then by the end of the whole project, you're like, well, that was not what I meant to do, but it happened. And I loved all the choices I've made with these pieces, and even like the decision to create these poems as titles. I really think just going through, like as you mentioned earlier, I worked really solely from my Baltimore community and efforts to kind of bring back resources to my city. But to do this project with you where I'm going inward and thinking about my own family and what are my own needs and what does my family need and what their resources, just kind of like changed the game a little bit for me. It became personal. And when the personal happens, it's like you have more than just an image to work off of. You have more than just what was said. Like you have what lives inside you, and so I got to unlock some of that, and these pieces came out amazing, and they're all so different. You know, none of them are like the same as the like the next. So
Absolutely. Yeah, they are truly one of a kind works of art.
yeah,
I go to this image, these two images. I love the photographer Tara capturing
we're
this.
so cute. He's so cute.
But the wall piece quickly, with the sound installation, you were talking about your cousin that you're really close with, Dre, right?
Yeah, Dre.
Yeah, yeah. And this repeated pattern, but also, because we had talked about this and I really wanted to kind of reverse your process,
Yeah.
like the inverse of your process, starting with, the image, and then how you start, doing the work that you do on the computer, but then also you printing on canvas and hand painting. And so back here, I'm just a pointer here. This is just a copy of a larger painting that you did of Dre. And he is standing as a child here in
In
front
the
of
same location.
right in the same location. That's right. That's right. Which is so powerful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
powerful.
And when he saw the photo of him, or at least the painting, he was like, yo, where'd you get this photo from? I was like, listen, man, wasn't this crazy? Because it was the same day. Like the painting that I have of him being older in front of the house, that was the day we did the photo shoot. And so to do that piece and then to do the piece of him younger as a little kid, like that was pretty radical, and he loved it.
Wow. Well, alrighty. Well, we're just wrapping up here, and just wanted to thank people for joining us. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I wanted to just say, I don't know why that did that, but let's see. Here we go. Yeah. Everybody, thank you for joining us. And you want to follow Amani's work on Instagram. This is Amani's Instagram handle. And then also with Alma Lewis, you can follow us on Instagram. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Lolo.
Thank you, Amani. Do you have any other parting words that you wanted to share with us, especially since this is being recorded and this is available online?
100%. Thank you. I am feeling very grateful and honored to be your inaugural artist for your exhibitions. And I think it was fitting that you named the exhibition Reimagining Care, because I think that's what Alma Lewis does too. I think Alma Lewis reimagines care for us creators, and to have a space that feels safe and doesn't feel as though there's some type of ulterior motive behind us coming, like sales and whatever else. I just think that you've created a beautiful foundation that is centering and very central for the artists, for us to come into this massive, beautiful studio space. I call it massive, it's bigger than my studio space. But you come in and you can just work, you give us a place to stay, you take us to these workshops, you introduce us to the people of Pittsburgh and so on. Like we're introduced to people from different institutions. We get to focus on the practice. I think that's most important. And you give us the time we need to focus on the practice, along with funding. And you just put a lot of hard time and effort and energy and soul into creating this foundation. And you have my support forever. I know you have every artist that comes through feels the same way. And so we thank you for reimagining care.
Thank you, Amani. And thank you for, trusting me and stewarding your work, and
Of course,
being the inaugural artist, because, as I say, I'm literally building this plane in the air.
Yes, you are.
So as we're flying it, but really it is having a space to experiment and be first who you are. you know.
Yes, 100%.
Yes, and also and I so mean this about being unencumbered. And so how I can support you in your practice, but also you as a person too. And that's
Yeah.
important. And so that's something that at Alma Lewis, we're going to keep doing. And
Yes, you will.
yes, and we will be doing some things in the future together as well, beyond
100%.
having work in the gallery, but we'll be bringing you back. We're going to bring you back to Pittsburgh for
3 cold months. Let's go.
Yeah. I know some people are like, no, I'm gonna pass on the winter. I won't come in the summer.
I'm gonna
But
come in the summer.
but anyway, no, it's been just it's really been a treasure to watch you evolve, Imani. Your work. I'm like, you're so young and you're just getting started and you're doing this.
Yes, right? Just getting started, y'all.
I don't even know how you doing this and you just getting started.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes from the support of you. I mean, if I didn't meet you, I feel like I have no idea where I would be right now. You've been so important to my work and how it's evolved and developed, and the type of care I have for art history now is very different. And my relationship to people, my relationship to my work. I mean, we've been doing this for 2 long years, almost 3, and these have been very amazing and blessing 3 years. Thank you. I appreciate you. It comes from you, Kilolo. It's what you do for artists, man.
Well, thank you for challenging me and making me a better person as well. And, you know, I say, I'll never forget when we met, and it was, you know, I'm going to say this, Stephen Towns was like, hello, there's an artist I think you really like. And we're going to Glenstone and hopefully Amani's going to be there.
Right. And I saw the 3 Black people for the first time that day. And well, it was like 5, but I was like, yep, I'm gonna hang with y'all. I didn't even need to know that was Steven. I was like, I'm going over there.
Oh my gosh, it was great. It was great. I'm like, yeah. So, but anyway, well, thank you, Amani, for taking time
Thank you.
to us about your work and taking us through your show. And thank you for, you know, really bringing this new body of work to Pittsburgh and
Of course.
sharing it with the Pittsburgh community, because people have really loved seeing your work. And so thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Put
All
a
right.
jacket on. You gotta put a jacket on, Kilolo.
Okay. All right. Take care.
All right. Ciao.
Bye.